Legend has it, this is where giants come to seal the deal. Here I am, they roar. But theirs are not the only roars here. In this place, where carbon fiber beasts rip round you at 300 kilometers an hour, where the tension before lights out makes the hardened flutter and the mighty gasp, this is where a handshake can warp the course of history, where what's written on a napkin can send shockwaves. Below is where the F1 elite soldier from truck to track. Into battle they go, into battle you go. A place where you'll be at the beating heart of it all. Where time is on your side. And the sun sets 3 times. 1, 2, 3. This is Paddock Club. Isn't it time you wrote your legend?
Hello and welcome. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ian Dobson of JDC Promotions, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube for our very first Celebrity Q&A talk shop. For more than 20 years, we have been providing exclusive hospitality facilities and official Paddock Club hospitality at motor racing circuits around the globe. We have a passion for F1 and for delivering exceptional experiences, and we've shared that passion with thousands of our clients. Now, as you can imagine, we've not been able to do too much of that this year. So perhaps you would be kind enough to support us by giving us your likes, shares, follows and subscribes to keep up to date with our latest news and offers. Now, today we are supporting 2 wonderful and important charities. We're raising funds for SANS. SANS is the leading stillbirth and neonatal death charity in the UK. And we're raising funds for Readley. Readley provides counselling and support to those who have suffered from or have friends or family who have suffered from asbestosis or mesothelioma. Now, you'll find in the details above a link to our Just Giving page where you can donate. And if you can, please do. We'd much appreciate it. Now, I'm delighted to inform you that we've been working with Bluebell Vineyard Estates, the home of the range of Hindleap sparkling wines made right here in the UK. And today we have 100 bottles to give away to you, the viewers. So stay tuned to find out how you can win. So I guess it's about time we introduced you to our special guest. After leaving the world of Formula One back in 2018, he's since been lured back by Ross Brawn. He's here today to talk to us about F1, his new role in F1 and other projects. He's a fan's favourite and all-round super guy. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Rob Smedley. Hello, Rob. Hi there, Rob. How are you? Good to see you. Let me just turn your microphone on there 1 second. Thank you very much for joining us, Rob. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Real pleasure.
Marvellous. So where are you at the minute?
I am in a kart track in Northamptonshire, and then later I'm dropping that for a bigger circuit in Northamptonshire for slightly bigger cars.
Yeah, slightly bigger cars. Fantastic. Rob, the first thing I wanted to ask you, obviously you left the world of F1 back in 2018, as I said in my intro, but what was it that brought you back?
It was a conversation with Ross to do something different. I was, by midway through 2018, I guess, with the situation that we had at Williams and with other things that were going on.
Yeah.
I kind of just lost a little bit of the drive to and the motivation that you need to be successful in Formula One.
Yeah.
I'd always decided that if that spark had gone, it's such a crucial team sport.
Yeah. Oh, we've lost you there, Rob.
that I really didn't want to be. It was time for some time off. It was time for some time off, time for a bit of reflection. And therefore that's the decision that I took. I didn't want to be in a Grand Prix team if I wasn't giving 110%. Just want 110% out of everyone that works for me. So yeah, I took a little bit of time off, but then after some time back in mostly spent in the office in my garden, and consultation with Ross. I saw this as a new challenge. I definitely wanted to do. It's time in my life where I want to do things to give back, if you like. And I just felt that going and getting involved with the central body Formula One that Ross is in charge of, give me a chance to do that, to look at the future of the sport, the regulations, the way that we perhaps bring sport to the viewer, to make it more exciting, to give more insight. New sporting regulations, new governance, new technical regulations. All of those things are really exciting, and it's kind of like a level above where I was, to kind of have that.
Oh, I think we might have lost you there, Rob. Let's see if we can get. Oh, Rob, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, we just lost you there for a second, Rob. I think the connection on your end sort of cut out on you a little bit.
All right, where was I?
I think we missed about the last sort of 2 minutes of what you just said there, Rob. So I couldn't tell you exactly where you were because you sort of disappeared. But I wanted to actually, just before we got some fans on the line that would like to ask a question to you directly today, Rob. But before we go over to those guys, I wanted to ask you about. I know that you've been working on a new project. Obviously, you've taken this job at F1, but you're also working on another project, Electroheads, I believe it's called. Could you tell us a bit about that new project?
Sorry if there's a lot of background noise. These are clearly not electric drivetrains.
Oh, right, yeah.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah. Well, yes, we can, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. This is the problem of being in rural Northamptonshire, I guess.
Yeah.
So Electroheads is Electroheads. Just tell me if you can hear me all right, Ian. If not, then
I'll keep my thumb up when I can hear you. Okay, we're all right.
All right. Electroheads is it's essentially. I think that karting is a great way of getting kids involved in the grassroots of motorsport.
Yeah.
And trying to kind of plant those initial seeds. I think it's a brilliant sport to be involved in actively. It teaches kids about discipline, about teamwork, about dealing with disappointment. About some magical moments. And I think they're really, really key life lessons that you can learn at grassroots in motorsport. And if we then bring kids on to be Formula One fans after that, all well and good.
Yeah.
The problem with karting is that it's very, very expensive. It's incredibly expensive. It means that the demographic that is able to take part in karting is minuscule, is not particularly diverse. Which then percolates up to the very top of Formula One.
Yeah,
I mean, we get a very singular demographic involved in the driver market in Formula One as well. So what I was interested in doing was trying to look at how you broaden the market, how you lower the costs of getting kids involved in motorsport. You've got kids involved in the British Championship that are of karting that are spending 100k, 8-year-old kids. So the costs are just absolutely out of control.
Yeah.
So I wanted to offer something to the market which is a complete arrive and drive experience. They're racing karts. You get as much practice as the kids who are spending 100 grand for a significantly lower number.
Yeah.
We'll never be down at the price of a pair of football boots. But if we can go some way to democratizing the grassroots of motorsport and getting more kids involved from more normal backgrounds, I think that will be it's a huge blow for freedom, and it's a step in the right direction. So that's what Electroheads is all about. We just launched, I think, a week or two ago at a kart track called Wilton Mill. We've had a huge amount of response from the current market and the new market, which is exactly what we want. A lot of coverage in the media, and it's something that we want to take onto an international stage as well. So we don't just want to do it here in the UK. I want to do it all around the world. I would love to have backing from the FIA. I would love to have backing from other major partners, and this be the grassroots, the pathway, the step ladder from the very bottom, up into single-seater cars. And if we're successful, and I believe we can be successful, we'll end up with a much more diverse driver cohort. So it's an exciting project.
Yeah, so presumably, as well as making it more affordable for kids to become involved in it, it's going to put them more on more of an equal footing, presumably, in terms of the racing itself. Would that be right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because one of the problems that you've got is that karting, like a lot of motorsports, is driven by budgets. So if you've got enough budget, you can buy all the best equipment and the best engines and everything else.
Yeah.
What I'm doing is a single make formula with electric engines. With the electric drivetrains, I can offer complete parity. So it's never about the engine. It's just about, and it's not about the chassis, because we have identical chassis. It's not about how good your team is, because you're all part of my team. So basically, it all comes down to the driver. So it's lower cost, and it's more meritocratic as well. It's faster, fairer, cheaper, and greener.
Awesome. Well, we'll be watching with great interest, Rob, for sure. If it's okay with you, Rob, I think we'll move on to one of the people that we got on the line now. We'll bring him in. Richard Cooper's got a question for you, so let's just bring Richard in. Should be with us any moment. Here we are. Hello there, Richard. You're live on Facebook and YouTube. You're here with Rob. There we go. We can see you well. He's connecting to his audio. Welcome, Richard. How are you?
Morning. I'm very well. How are you?
Excellent. I'm very well, thank you. You're live on air with Rob, so far away. What's your question?
Excellent. Thank you. Great to talk to you, Rob, and thanks for doing this morning. My question is very simple. I've been watching Formula One for decades, and it just seems that every few years we have these major rule changes that are designed to slow the cars down, get rid of downforce, etc., etc. And it seems that literally within half a season, the engineers, who are incredibly intelligent people, find their way around the regulations, and we're back to the status quo. How sure are you that this time, with the new regulations in 2022, it's going to be any different?
Good question. Thank you for that question. Look, we can only start to make strides in the right direction. And I think the difference that we're doing with the 2022 regulations is that we're not just concentrating on a single set of technical regulations. We have a reasonably holistic view on it, where we want to concentrate on technical regulations, sporting regulations, and the governance. Because I think that if you try and attack just one single area, it's like the whack-a-mole. If you concentrate just on one of the moles, then all the others pop up. So one of the things that we are doing at the minute is we're actively looking right across the board of Formula One, and that includes so the sporting regulations, the governance itself, if you like, so the budget caps and the remuneration of the teams, and how, as a business model, the teams should operate to make it more sustainable, to make it more attractive to new manufacturers who want to come in, or new private teams that want to come in, and to make it more sustainable for the teams themselves. And once you have that, and we get rid of this huge imbalance that we have now of the haves and the have-nots, then undoubtedly we will end up with a closer Formula One. So what we've really done, and what you've got to take into account with what we're trying to do with the 2022 regulations, is move towards a more balanced Formula One. So if Mercedes continues to be the best team, then Mercedes should win. You know, we can never artificially change the outcome of what a championship should be, and let the the second best or the third best team win. That can never be the objective here. It's always got to be about the best team winning, but we've got to have a better fight. We've got to have a closer fight. Having cars, having the leading car out qualifying all of its rivals by 1 second and doing that consistently at track to track is not helpful for the sport. And we know that, and we all recognise it, and I recognise it. I'm sure that the current dominating teams recognise that. I certainly recognised it when I was at Ferrari and I was part of a team that dominated. It's certainly good for the team that you're in, but it's not good for the sport. So we're trying to move it back. It's not just about how fast the cars are or how much grip they've got or mechanical grip versus aerodynamic grip and all of this. It's about a much more holistic view. And as all we can do really is hope that we've gone in the right direction in 2022. And I firmly believe that we have done, because this is the first set of technical regulations that have been designed with such technical expertise, if you like. Formula One in collaboration with the FIA and the teams have designed this new generation car in exactly the same way that the engineers in a team would design the car. So the concept layout and then detailed aerodynamic design in both CFD and wind tunnel. That's the first time that we've been able to come out with a really concrete black and white set of regulations. So, I think Ross Brawn has said it on quite a few occasions, that there's no way that we should be arrogant enough to think that we've got it right. But what we've got to do is we've got to get the ship steered in a certain direction, and hope that we've made the correct choices with sport in technical and governance. And then it's about building on that. It's about building on the budget caps. It's about building on the technical regulations, and it's really moving on from there.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for your question, Richard, and thanks for joining us. We'll be in touch after later today. Thanks again, Richard. I'll move swiftly on to our next guest. We have Bev Watson on the line. She's got a question for you, Rob. So let's just bring Bev in now. She should be with us any minute. Here we are. Here's Bev. Hello there. She's just joining audio. Hello there, Bev. Thank you very much for joining us. You're live on Facebook and YouTube. Rob's in the room with us here. I understand you've got a question for Rob, so fire away.
How you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
That's not my question, by the way. My question to you is, if you could be a race engineer in any era of F1, which one would it be and why?
It's a good question. I like that one.
A lot of thought went into that. You don't know?
Definitely not pre 1970s, 1980s. Definitely not then, because of the death rate of drivers. I've been involved, with some fairly major incidents, let's say, during my time in Formula One. Lost, not just in Formula One as well, but outside of Formula One, lost some friends who have, been driving cars. And so, it's 100%. This is a better era than any other era in terms of driver safety. So I would never want to be involved in a Formula One that was dangerous, where drivers could lose their lives. But apart from that, I mean, maybe, fatalities were still prevalent, but slightly lower. Maybe the late 80s, you know, that Senna Prost era, that probably was quite good fun. Formula One was a little bit less professional than what it is now, and I don't mean that in a way that I'm unprofessional. I mean that Formula One teams were probably, even though they thought they were, you know, very advanced, they were nowhere near as advanced as they were today. So they were still more for people like me. It was probably a little bit more fun for people like me to be able to make a difference, you know, in teams of 50, 60, 100, rather than teams of, you know, minimum of 1,000 once you take the engine into account as well. So I think possibly, if any era, it could have been, you know, the late 80s, when we had those great battles, you know, 1988. And I guess I look back nostalgically on that as well, because then I was a Formula One fan without working in Formula One. I was a schoolboy, so you know, I'm always going to look back on that era a little bit nostalgically. Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's it. But
Okay.
to be honest, yeah, just to finish. I mean, honestly, I'm not a massive Formula One fan, so people ask me like a lot of Formula One questions, and I
Really?
No, not really.
Well, that's something we've all learnt today. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the question, Bevan. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch. We'll move straight on to our next guest. Felicity has a question for you. Let's just bring Felicity in. Should be with us anytime now. Here's Felicity. Oh, we're a little bit sideways there, Felicity. Hello, Felicity? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Connecting to audio. Here we go. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. You're a little bit sideways there for some reason, Felicity. Oh, okay. Well, look, you're live on Facebook and YouTube. Rob's in the room here with us. You've got a question for Rob. Far away. What's your question for Rob, Felicity?
Yeah, my question is, which driver, past or present, do you think, you know, had the they had the potential, but they were never given the chance in a top team?
I think I've got the question here. Felicity's asking, in your opinion, what's the best driver who never really got a chance to really prove themselves in a top team?
Oh, good question, Felicity. I think that I don't think there's one driver. I think there's lots of drivers who never really got the chance. But it's a difficult one, you know, because
can we push you to name any names?
Well, yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of working it out in my head.
Yeah.
I think that the one that immediately comes to mind is Jules Bianchi. You know, I think Jules Bianchi.
Yeah.
You know, Charles has said it himself. Jules was faster than Charles. So yes, please. So I would say that Jules never really got the chance to prove himself. So Jules never really got the chance to prove himself in a top team, and it was always a shame. You know, it was always going to be that he was probably going to be he was getting ready for that Ferrari crown, and he never did get it.
Yeah.
I think on the whole, you know, I think when you look at it, the drivers who end up in top teams are the drivers who deserve to be in top teams.
Right. Does that answer your question, Felicity?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, excellent. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll pop you back in the waiting room. We'll catch up with you after the meeting. I've got another question on the line here from James Garside. Let's just bring James in. He's got a question for you. James will be with us shortly. Hopefully he connects to Audio. Ah, there we are. James, hello. Hello, James.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, you're live on YouTube and Facebook. You're here with Rob. You've got a question for Rob. Fire away.
Yeah, hi Rob. Thanks for talking. There's been a lot of chat about budget limits for 2021 and the current financial situation of this year, particularly with the lower teams needing to not only race next season but develop a new car with smaller budgets than probably the CAP has actually put in. So I was just wondering, do you think that this may widen the gap between the top three and the lower teams? Which I know is something the new generation was trying to sort of solve. And I guess from that, how do you think that it will sort of introduce a success to the new sort of style car?
Thanks. Thanks for the question, James. I wonder. I just missed some of it, which is probably the crucial bit. So the connection's not great. So if you can be slightly more succinct in the question, I can give you a succinct answer.
Okay. So regarding, there seems to be a lot of debate around the cap that's currently set for next year, and some of the lower teams with obviously the problems we've faced this year, the budgets are going to be a problem for 2021, developing a car for that season as well as developing the 2022 new car. Do you, obviously the new car was there to try and bring the pack together, but do you think with obviously the problems we've had now that gap might actually widen with the bigger teams being able to reach the cap and the lower teams not getting there to say up to the 140 million?
Right. Okay. No, I think what we've done is we've worked with the teams in order to arrive at what is the best compromise from 2021 and 2022. So there has been an effective freeze of development in 2021, where we want to cut as much of the budget from that area as possible, so that we even up the playing field, which allows everybody to concentrate on their 2022 cars. So I think that the mitigations that we put in place with the virus and with the fact that revenues for the teams are not have not been as high as expected, then mitigating with that for less development for 2020 into 2021, and leaving just the budget cap for 21 going into 22. I think that we may have some cases where where there's small discrepancies, but certainly what we've tried to put in place is to have to ensure that everybody goes into 22 with as even as playing field as possible.
Does that answer your question, James?
Can I just sneak another one in for my 6-year-old son? It's a bit simpler, but he'd just like to know Lego or Meccano?
Meccano.
Ah, there you go. Thank you very much for joining us, James. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. Thank you. Lego or Meccano. That was a good one. I did have another question from Lee Knowles. She couldn't come on live in the end today. She had to. She was travelling, but her question was, when you had when you had to radio Felipe and utter the now infamous message, "Fernando is faster than you," what was Felipe's actual response? As I'm sure it wasn't broadcast on F1.
It was.
Was it?
It certainly was broadcast on F1. It was complete silence.
It was. It must be pretty awful to have to deliver team orders, or did it never really bother you?
No, not really. It never really bothered me. The thing the thing that is important for me is that we're all clear as to what the rules of engagement are pre-event.
Yeah.
And as long as we all have an ingoing battle plan that for certain scenarios we will favour this driver and for certain other scenarios we'll favour that driver, I've got no problem. for, throughout my Grand Prix career, apart from just latterly now, I've worked for teams, not for drivers, and the team has to come first in any motorsport environment.
Yeah.
The team has to come.
Oh, fantastic. Listen, Rob, I know you're a busy guy, and obviously you're going to Silverstone later today, so I won't keep you too much longer. If we could just move it on to, we have a competition running. I've mentioned to you earlier. We're giving away 100 bottles of sparkling wine today. So Rob will ask you, the viewers at home, a question. And the first 100 people in the comments below with the correct answer will receive a bottle of sparkling white wine. So over to you, Rob. You've got the question. Fire away.
All right. So throughout my career, I have worked for 4 Formula One teams. Can you name 2 of them?
So that's over Rob's career. He's worked for 4 Formula One teams. Can you name 2 of them? Good luck, everybody. So I think we've got time. If we could just ask you a couple of more questions, Rob. So obviously it's British Grand Prix Day today. What were your thoughts about yesterday's qualifying? Any surprises? Who impressed you?
Mercedes continue to impress me. I think that they are, without a doubt, the class of the field. I continue to be, impressed with what Racing Point have done, and the resurgence there of that team. I know there's a lot of disconsternation and a lot of question marks, let's say, but I think that the FIA have looked at this on numerous occasions and they've found no wrongdoing. So we just have to accept that. The FIA and the stewards are the ones that respectively write and then apply the rules. So I think that was really impressive. I was impressed, with the weekend that Nico Hulkenberg has had, even to get into Q2. I don't think people understand how difficult these cars are to drive, and just to come from nowhere and jump in the car, that was quite incredible. And then, Williams getting into Q2 as well with George Russell. I think that's really, really impressive from where they were last year. A little bit sloppy then with teamwork for the driver getting a 5-place penalty. But the driver himself and the car certainly seem to be, they've got it going in the right direction.
So we're just over 2 hours from the race. It's something we don't really get to sort of fully understand as a viewer. What are the processes that the teams are going through in preparation for the race at this point now?
Well, at this point now, they'll be not too far away from final preparations. So the guys will be, I would say, in about an hour's time.
Right.
All the guys will be going to get suited up, get ready for the race. The race engineers will be going through, all the engineers will be going through the final checks. We'll be having final meetings about now, especially if it was a wet weekend, if there was any inclement weather coming in, we'd be having our final DEFCON 5 meeting, as we used to call it.
DEFCON 5 meeting, yeah.
For any disasters that might be coming in.
Yeah.
Final briefings with the drivers, final checks really, and just getting ready for the race.
Marvellous. Last question, Rob, and then we'll let you go. I know you've got lots on, but you had an amazing relationship with Felipe. Is there anyone on the grid in this current era of F1 that you think you would have enjoyed working with?
What, as an engineer, you mean?
Yeah. So as an engineer, for anyone, yes, as an engineer.
I think that I would certainly have relished working with Lewis. He is the finished article.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, I would have definitely liked to work with. I like a project. So if you take 2 guys that are not quite the finished article, but are without a doubt incredibly talented, Charles and Max. It'd be good to definitely nice working with them. And then if you take younger guys who are much more of a project, incredibly talented guys, but still have a long way to go, whether they understand that or not. People like Lando, people like George Russell. It's nice to work with guys like that as well and see their progress.
Marvellous. Well, that just leaves me to say, Rob, thank you so much for being with us today for our first ever live Q&A. The strange times we're living in at the minute, so we really, really appreciate all of your help. So I'll let you get on with your day and just say thank you very much, Rob, for joining us. And we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Speak to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
Well, there we go. Rob Smedley, ladies and gentlemen. That just leaves me to say thank you so much to our charities today, Sands and Readley. Don't forget, you'll find out links to the Just Giving page where you can make your donations. And if you can, please do. Thanks also to the Bluebell Vineyard Estate with their award-winning range of Hindleap sparkling wines, which, of course, today you can win. So make sure, if you know the answer to that question, pop it in the comments below. As I say, the first 100 people will receive a bottle of Hindleap sparkling wine made right here in the UK. And lastly, thanks to all of you watching. Thank you for the support. We really, really appreciate it. It's certainly been a lot of fun putting this together for you guys. So we hope you've enjoyed it and have found it informative. Thanks again to everyone. Thank you very much. And goodbye. Have a good day and enjoy the Grand Prix.
Legend has it, this is where giants come to seal the deal. Here I am, they roar. But theirs are not the only roars here. In this place, where carbon fiber beasts rip round you at 300 kilometers an hour, where the tension before lights out makes the hardened flutter and the mighty gasp, this is where a handshake can warp the course of history, where what's written on a napkin can send shockwaves. Below is where the F1 elite soldier from truck to track. Into battle they go, into battle you go. A place where you'll be at the beating heart of it all. Where time is on your side. And the sun sets 3 times. 1, 2, 3. This is Paddock Club. Isn't it time you wrote your legend?